sir, we are very interested to understand how exactly you were able to get your initial education, and is there any instance in experience in your childhood which made you think this way, and sort of mindset you developed in initial stage of your life?
Sure, absolutely. I was born and raised in Chandigarh.
Yeah.
And so Chandigarh being one of the most modern, highest literacy, highest per capita income, I was very fortunate to have 3, 4 good years in the, from the time I took birth, next 4 years. But my father worked with Haryana government.
Okay.
And when I was 4 year old, he got transferred into a small village.
Wow.
And because I was very close, I was the youngest of the 4 siblings and very close to my mom, so they did not leave me behind in Chandigarh. They took me to that small village. So next few years, I actually went to a primary education center run by government.
Okay.
With no toilet, with no paper. Sometimes half of the time teachers are not even in school.
Okay. Acha.
And for me, that was my first remembrance of formal education.
Okay. Nice.
So that's how things started, and then later on, I kept on. My father will get transferred every 3 years from one city to another, and that leads to the answer for your question. That because I went from one place to another, every time I had to establish myself. What is going to be my school? Am I going to get along with the teachers? Am I going to get bullied? Will I have a friends? Where am I living? Right? How will I go to school? And I did not realize that by the time I did my undergraduate, I had already lived and recreated my life 6, 7 times.
Yeah.
And if you look at entrepreneurship, is nothing but a prototyping, right? You believe in something, you start somewhere, and you keep on iterating until you get it right. Right. So I think my life lessons indeed prepared me for this.
You started to become adaptable because
That's
of
right,
these
that's right.
things. And we were curious because we are in college life, we have so
Right.
many activities going around the campus. So we would be interested to know what kind of activities you were involved in, sports. It can be anything. Which
Sure, no, absolutely. So, look, I actually played cricket and badminton for under 18 for the state of Haryana. So, in fact, my parents used to be very worried after I was like maybe from my, let's say, later part of my schooling and until my high school, I used to be only focusing on sports. And we will, that time I studied in Fatehabad, which is now a district in Haryana. And we'll as a team, we'll go to different districts to play cricket and badminton. That also in a hindsight helped me to develop a lot of camaraderie, sportsmanship, team spirit,
Discipline.
right? Yeah, discipline, absolutely. So that is one part. Second is I remember during my first masters, which I did from Indore, I remember there was some college debate. I'm sure your IIT Delhi has a lot of
Sure.
college festivals and all. So we had one such festival, and that was my first time doing something enterprising to earn money. So I went to the local hotel operators and told them that I will promote your hotel during our festival, but you give some sponsorship, something which I know IIT Delhi and so many other leading institutions do all the time. And so but yeah, so I think thing is you don't wake up one day thinking that I am now entrepreneur. Lot of you don't realize that your education, your upbringing, your different reference points, your friends, each activity you do ultimately lead to what you end up doing.
build your personality from scratch.
That's right.
Exactly. Sir, I want to know what made you to choose the decision to going abroad and doing your MBA. Were you very sure that you want to go into business, or you want to have exposure in from the international, education? So
That's a great question. I actually, I must say that I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I grew up in India, in that India where the kind of opportunities we have today did not exist, right? When I was in my early 20s, that is when India actually liberalized the economy, right? So so in India the opportunities were very little. I was working in my hometown Chandigarh. Somehow I got exposed to working with some of the American companies.
okay.
and I was very impressed. That time, it was not common to know American culture, working culture. I got very impressed, and I thought, I think I want to be there, right? And eventually, I wanted to be entrepreneur, but there's no way as in my early 20s as to I could go to US and establish myself as an entrepreneur. So I chose, I already had one master, and I chose that I'll do, my MBA, which will allow me to have a very formal education in a country where I'm hoping to establish myself.
Okay.
So that's how, I started, started my kind of, education abroad, but it took me so many more years before I could become entrepreneur. But yes, that's how I started.
You was like 10 years in Wall Street, right? And you were an analyst there. So
That's right.
there are few students in my campus who are into trading
Right,
and very
right.
interested to understand how you were able to gain your knowledge from Wall Street and the way people say this is Wall Street. So we want to know how things go in Wall Street and what was your experience there.
Sure, sure. So, after my MBA, I worked with Schwab.com, which is that time world's largest online stock brokering firm. And after that, I worked with Microsoft in their corporate headquarters in Redmond, Washington. And in fact, I was very fortunate to have an opportunity to work with Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Then, after 2 jobs, I joined Wall Street, right? And I loved that career because I was an analyst. So it required a lot of detailed research, a lot of number crunching, connecting dots, building mosaic theory, developing knowledge and expertise on an industry. And I also feel very lucky to, I did not cover, and no offense, but I did not cover banking stock or airlines or insurance company. I covered internet.
Okay.
I mean, imagine in the early 2000s, I was covering companies like Google, Netflix, Amazon, Microsoft, right? So it was great. I mean, I would analyze these companies. I will develop my expertise on an internet sector, which was less than 10-year-old, maybe or 10 or 11-year-old by that time. It's now 27-year-old industry, right? And still a long way to go. So yeah, so it helped me to really develop a lot of subject matter expertise. And by then I also realized that a lot of time as a student we have desire
Yeah.
to know everything,
Yeah.
but sometime I think it pays well to be inch wide and mile deep.
Got it.
I would say inch wide was internet sector, mile deep was knowing everything about the internet sector.
Got it.
And and today, I was able to found 2 companies, and I can't stop thanking my Wall Street experience, which made me ready, more than ready, I would say, what I ended up doing in India with the 2 companies I founded.
Like you started with MBA, you went to working with Bill Gates Corporation, then you shifted to Wall Street, which were more like a technical side of the
Right.
company, right? So, did you ever felt like I should have been to tech early in my life, or I would say that, or would you say that this journey was in itself good enough for you to understand what things are there and what to learn
See,
from that?
yeah, see, that's a great question. In a hindsight, everything is 2020. You absolutely, I mean, you guys are all studying in a country's premier institution and very mathematically inclined. So you can do a lot of regression analysis, right? So in a hindsight, you absolutely have an opportunity to say, I could have done this thing differently, etc. But I think, I feel really, I feel very fortunate in terms of how my kind of life evolved in US and how I came to India, and one thing led to another. Yes, I mean, I must say, when I went to US for my higher studies, that time I had no idea that this new age economy, digital economy, will bring this level of deep social, economical, impact.
Yeah.
Right. So from that perspective, yes, I do feel that I wish I was part of that, even from 1994.
Yeah, got it. I read somewhere that you were doing an analysis in Wall Street and you got to know there's a huge potential in Indian market, and that time you realized that either I have option to continue with my work right now, or I can go in and to become part of that gold rush. But of course that was a really tough decision to make. So we want to know that what were your criteria, what were thinking at fundamental level which made you to choose this tough decision at that particular
Right.
point.
Yeah. See, yeah, you are absolutely right. I mean, I had worked very hard to build a Wall Street career. I was ranked among the top 3 best internet analysts covering internet sector based out of Silicon Valley. A life, which took a lot of investment to build, right? But in 2010, Make My Trip went public and got itself listed on Nasdaq.
Got it.
That time, e-commerce was 17-year-old industry, right? It's like 2010, internet came in 1994, 16, 17-year-old industry. I thought, there must be something happening in India that you have now company coming out of India and getting itself listed on Nasdaq. So I decided to write a research report on India internet sector and on Make My Trip. I flew from San Francisco, met founder of Make My Trip and 6-7 other internet companies founder. Those were the number of total companies in the entire sector by then. And that time I realized that, India is now getting ready for prime time for the new age economy. And why should I just stay in Silicon Valley writing research report when I have an opportunity to create an underlying asset? So when I had that thinking occur to me, after that, although when you are quite educated, you have high opportunity cost, you sometimes can do over-analysis. And over-analysis can result into paralysis. And that makes you frozen. But I somehow got lucky. I reached to a stage where I was able to tell myself the regret of not doing ShopClues, which was my first business, would be bigger than anything I gave up. So I gave up my $1 million job. I gave up my life in Silicon Valley. I gave up everything I built in USA for 15 years and came first time with a one-way ticket to India.
Yeah, they say regret is the biggest disappointment you can have in India.
Another great question. I think, I must say it was very, very difficult because, one is India versus US, culture, value of work ethics, for how long white collar multinational style jobs existed in US versus in India, right? So it's very, very different. Then within US, Wall Street operates in a very cutting edge manner, very, very fast paced, very type A people come, people who are very, very ambitious, who want to make a lot of money, who want to make impact, and they have achieved good education, and they demand nothing but best from themselves and everyone around them. So with that kind of, and also I worked with 3 Fortune 100 companies, not just yet another company in US. So I think that absolutely created a lot of gap in terms of how India operates and how I was trained to operate. So it was a fair amount of adjustment, but I had my share of frustration at times. Sometimes I also felt like just giving it up. But on the other hand, that training also helped me to in fact lift so many other people who were smart, who were really smart, but they did not have the exposure which I had before. So it all worked out. But yes, it's India from that perspective, I must say, is a quite harsh country. You cannot have just a soft landing, and especially when you comes from outside.
Right. Yesterday I was having chat with a senior. They are also working on a startup. So they were saying, Shashank, in US you have value adding CIS. Interaction with the people. You just need to talk on the value. You do not know the negotiation. In India, you have to provide the value. Then you have to provide the discount. You have to provide the feeling of FOMO. You have another 2 to 3 layers. Then you actually convert a really quality B2B sale, right? So the time you started, e-commerce, you started in e-commerce. How tough it was for you to aggregate and bring the people who are doing really great in the market and tell them, yo, I am gonna be better than Flipkart. I'm gonna be any other marketplace.
That's right. Yeah. See, I had a very hardcore Silicon Valley training.
Okay.
And in Silicon Valley, if you're a technology centric, then they say place more emphasis on a product rather than on marketing, right? So I created, with ShopClues, I created India's first ever marketplace. There was no ride sharing, there was no food tag, there was no edu tag. Like literally for any category, ShopClues was the first marketplace in India. So most of my investment went into product, right? And because it was a marketplace, we were able to give selection and kind of products which Flipkart and many other companies were unable to offer that time. All the e-commerce companies that time offered was mobile phone, electronics, computer, very standardized item, very easy to source. You need one seller and he can give you 50,000 laptops. But what about Punjabi juti? What about clothing? What about shoes, right? What about t-shirt and home furnishing item? Like, So, so my choice of business model and the disruption I brought to the marketplace actually helped me to have a bit of an unfair advantage versus other more deeply funded players because of the selection, right? And then all that selection came at no cost to me because I created a technology platform and those selections sat on someone else's balance sheet, right? So this is how I got a start. But to answer your question, yes, FOMO, discount mentality, all that does play a much bigger role in this country. So I must say, first 5 months, in spite of all these cool things I just spoke about the innovation, etc., we got beaten down. Okay, I remember launching ShopClues on 21st November 2011. Next 4 months, we will have 10, 12, 15, 20 orders per day. And we were very frustrated that why the customer is not adopting. And then by then I had already spent 4-5 months as a newly returned NRI from USA. So I understand in Indian consumers some of these aspects. So what we did is we started offering a deal which we call it jaw-dropping deal, and we offered a deodorant for 9 rupees. Right? I also noticed that internet speed in India was not very high, so every Indian carried 1 or 2 pen drive in their handbag or in their pocket or in their laptop bag, which was not culturally, I never saw it in USA. So I made, that time I think the highest storage was 16 GB, right? So I made a 16 GB storage, that time available for 99 rupees, which used to be around 900 rupees, right? So what happened when I offered someone a 200 rupees discount coupon, right? They did not take it. But when I offered a 9 rupees deodorant, we sold 12,000 of those in 1 hour, and our website will crash. We'll get 1 million traffic single day without spending single penny on Google or Facebook.
Marketing kind of
right?
marketing,
Yeah. So that time, so literally we did create some of these FOMO-driven, heavy discount, but we were mathematically very careful that we want only certain deals which can get people attracted towards ShopClues.
Okay.
But eventually, what happened? If you bought a 9 rupee deodorant, 2 months later you bought a 800 rupees shoes. 3 months later you bought a 28,000 rupees laptop.
Okay.
1 year later you bought maybe a 50,000 rupees TV. And that's how the flywheel started working in our favor.
Right, got it. The time you said that this is gonna be your USP, selling deodorant for 9 rupees, and after you were saying that people were buying other things. So how you made the entire company shifting from selling the deodorant and promoting yourself as a market? See, we can provide you any product and service, and how people actually started to adopting all the product and features.
Yeah. No, so I think because to begin with we were very sure that all these 9 rupee or 99 rupee, they are more of a sampling of ShopClues.
Okay.
But ShopClues was not meant to be only a deeply discounted platform, right? We were going to offer every possible product or every possible category which is legally allowed to be sold or available online in India, right? So we ultimately sold for selection, low price, unstructured categories, and 30 like smaller cities, right? And these were just these were substitute of how we would acquire a customer by paying very expensive money to Google, Facebook, and TV channels. So our cost of acquisition, deodorant you can buy for 150 rupees, right? We sold it for 9 rupee, but that was costing us maybe 110. So you can do a math, 110 minus 9, and maybe 30 rupees for shipping. That was my cost of acquiring a new customer, whereas my competitors were spending 2,000 rupees to acquire a customer. So for me, it was only a customer acquisition strategy rather than that's all I did for living.
Got it. So a person coming from US, settling in India, trying to pull off a company which was very tough, and then becoming unicorn. So how you felt at the day when it actually turned unicorn, and how things around you changed after that thing happened, and how you started to manage with the people around you? Because the time you become founder of a unicorn, people start to behave certain way, or you get more and more offers. So how you was able to channelize your things?
Yeah, no, see, first of all, I really feel very, very fortunate that while in 2011 I was questioning that internet is 17-year-old industry, but today 10 years later I feel that wow, I started that early, right? If you see all the action in the new age economy in India has happened in last 10 years. So I feel from that perspective, I think that makes me kind of veteran, right? And when ShopClues, my first company, became unicorn, I believe it was fourth or fifth unicorn for that time,
Okay.
right? And fastest that time in Indian history to become unicorn. And one more thing, which nobody has been able to beat as a record even till date, is we had spent less than $100 million to become a unicorn. So so we not only built a unicorn, we built it fastest and with the least amount of capital. So this is something which I'm honestly very proud of. And then, look, for people, perception about me would have changed, but I'm the same guy.
Yeah.
I'm the same guy who went to US as a student, who went one job to another. I'm still a student of learning. I feel I'm a work in progress, but I feel very fortunate that I became part of new age economy in India fairly early on.
Got it. After ShopClues, when you choose to enter automobile, there were already few companies, right? And I know that people around you were saying this is not the right market to enter, but still you take that thing that yeah, I want to enter this market. So the time you choose to enter in e-commerce, was clear. The time you choose to enter in automobile and starting from, was clear. So we want to know what are your criteria?
That's right.
We to think that these are the main things on which I should champion on and I go and take that plunge to starting a company.
That's right. So you're absolutely right. Optically,
Yeah.
when I started Droom, optically there were multiple players. In fact, as per my count, there were 11 more players whom people compared with us, like Droom, right? You're right. But my take was that I was building the first ever e-commerce platform for automobile, and none of those were e-commerce platform for automobile. Someone was classified, someone was vertically focused automobile content provider, someone was running a physical retail, someone was just providing rich content, videos, rating, reviews, and community. But I was going to create the e-commerce platform. And for me, the criteria number one was, is the ecosystem ready for me to have a e-commerce for automobile, right? India is a low trust market versus US, Japan, and Western Europe.
Yeah.
So when I started ShopClues, people would not even buy 200 rupees Chetan Bhagat best-selling book. And now I'm thinking that one day they will buy a 5 lakh rupees car online, right? So for me, the criteria number one is, where is the market? So every company people thought is competing with me and it's a crowded space was actually not, that's not how I saw it. In fact, their presence made me more encouraged that there's a classified, there's a vertical content, there's a discovery platform, there's rating, review, and community. So all basic building blocks are there. Now I can create an e-commerce platform. So that is one thing. Second is, I learned a lot working at Microsoft. A few sound bites from Bill Gates, and then I was very fortunate to cover all these cool companies, internet companies, from Google to Amazon to Facebook. So I had a lot of my set of learning, so which I applied not only in ShopClues but a lot in Droom. And so one other criteria is, in my view, that would be in fact my advice to any budding entrepreneur also, that always look for a large addressable opportunity. So automobile is like in every country is like anywhere between 6-7% on a low side to 10-12% on a high side of the GDP.
Got it.
So I thought here is a very large opportunity, right? The basic ecosystem has already evolved to the level where I can think of coming up with the e-commerce model, and then I think I can disrupt this market through the use of technology and data science.
Right.
So these were the three criteria: market readiness, total addressable opportunity, and use of technology and data science. And that's how I started.
Right. So you do not directly jump into market. You take 4 steps back. You understand how exactly things are
Right.
going. Is the market ready or not?
That's right.
Right. And then you go. Great. So let's say you are going to Droom and starting a marketplace. You have a website, right? And you have a exact USP in your company which you can sell to the people.
Right.
Let's talk about the people in India, the normal dealers who are not very literate. They know simple business, right? Brand thunder,
Right.
language. At that time, what was your pitch? How you was able to convert these people to say to come to our marketplace, and how
Right.
you will be getting value at the end of the day.
Right.
Because at that time, these people are not that smart to
That's
understand
right.
what is a
Yeah,
marketplace.
no,
what is a-
absolutely. See, for me, it was almost deja vu. because when I started ShopClues, uh, people had only seen Flipkart ad on TV. They did not even know the word e-commerce that well. They had no idea what does marketplace means, and none of the small and medium businesses knew what does it take to sell online, right? So that was for the entire India, for independent of any category. Now at time of doom we are talking about automobile, and you very rightly characterized small and medium auto dealers, right? They don't have deep pockets, they barely know English, they don't have technology sophistication, right? But they do 2-3 things which you and I can never do. They can source an automobile cheaper and faster than you and I can do. They in no time can refurbish it, and they can sell it.
Yeah.
Right? Our platform communicated to them that we are here to empower you rather than compete with you. Right? You don't need to know English, you don't need to know technology, you don't need to have deep pockets. You only do what you do for living, and rest we will do, and will help you to have a great reach out to millions of online shoppers, and on the way provide you reputation management, provide you standardized experience, provide you simple, easy to use tools. So long as you can read and write in basic English and can send and receive email, you can now sell your products online with Droom. So that's how we started, and we were able to actually create the largest dealer sign up for any company independent of business model with Droom.
Got it. If you were to break the entire journey of Droom or ShopClues for that matter, starting with development of the product, that is your basic website, and then going and getting the initial customers who can provide valuable feedback to you. So how you were able to get the quality people in initial stages of your life? How you focus that this is the time I should be developing product, this is the time I should be going into market, and this is the time I should be expanding my business to different audience?
See now, after doing it 2 times, I can sound almost like a professor with a very scientific way how to do it. But honestly, it was hit and trial, right? I mean, sometime I think about the product idea and expanding it. Sometime what kind of team do I need? Sometime will I develop the product in-house, or will I hire a outside vendor? How much capital will I need? What stage should I stop investing my own life saving and take money from outside? What kind of office do I need? So like when you graduate from one class to another, you must clear 6-7 subjects with a minimum score. So same way, at any given point of time, I had all these different subjects, and sometime I will go into one subject deep, sometime to 6 subjects but on a shallow level. But I always knew that I must secure minimum passing marks to graduate to the next level, right? So it was almost like a juggling multiple or kind of shuffling through multiple hats, right? But I would say first making yourself ready, that is it for me, and is it really why I want, this is for me and this why I want to do this. 2, sizing the market opportunity or getting some feel of how it is going to be. Then thinking about your vision, developing a product, attracting a team, attracting a capital, and maybe having at least 3 months of visibility on a rough basis your execution plan. That's how I went literally for both of the companies I built.
At the starting of the development of product, founder does everything, right? They do the sales, they do the development of product. So was you the person who was involved in the development of the product, or also it was more like you started getting people from the start itself, and how you divided and channelized the energy, how you focus on which vertical at what point of time?
So I'm a product person. I can visualize product, user experience, features, functionality, and while I did not have a formal training for that, I realized that God was very kind to me in terms of ability to solve a problem with the use of technology. So but I do not know the coding. Right? I do not know the coding. Very similar to Steve Jobs, he was a product person but did not know the coding. So but I usually like playbooks. So what kind of people I want to hire, I already had everything written down. What kind of investors I want to go after, how much money do I need, I had a presentation for that. What should be the product features, when will I develop them, I'm little more proactive and hyper guy. So I had a lot of these things ready, but for actual product development, I actually hired multiple teams, and my philosophy was that I need to start from somewhere rather than start at the best place,
Got it.
because I always believe in power of iteration. So I found one vendor. I said, buddy, why don't you start developing this, right? And then I started getting resume for the people who he would hire. So we had 2-3 outside vendors, we had 2-3 team members, and that's how it started.
So when you wasn't part of the India, you didn't have like great quality network in India, so that you can fetch the quality talented people working in the tech. So how you were able to reach out to quality talents, and on the time you were able to get these people, because for a tech person he is into coding or he has the really good understanding of the tech. How you was able to tell the person ki, see, this is you should be doing, and how you were able
That's
to
right.
understand the language of that
That's
particular
right.
person?
Yeah. See, so I did not know coding, but everything else you asked, I knew it very well. So in terms of program management,
Yeah.
setting expectation, laying down the business requirement,
Okay.
getting a weekly, periodically, daily update, right? But couple of things more I would like to highlight. I was able to convince, when I moved to India, I was able to convince 4 more Indians who, like me, went to US 15, 20 years back, were Silicon Valley trained, to join me as a core team members. So by the time I came to India, I was already working on ShopClues for 6-7 months, and couple of my team members were already working with me from Silicon Valley for a few months, right? So it was not that hard landing, right? And then I'm usually, I like to believe that I'm good in networking. So anyone I knew in India,
Yeah.
I just called them without any ego and any hassle,
Yeah.
and I had no problem raising my hand asking for help.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, you don't get something until you ask for it.
Exactly.
So I had no shame. I was a first-time entrepreneur. I had left a lot of things behind. So anyone I knew, I picked up phone, called, and said, "Hey, I even called my friend from where to buy the furniture, right? From where to get, someone who can do the interior for my office, from where to buy the laptop." I went to the guy who was going to supply laptop for office, but guess what? He became the first seller on ShopClues, right? So I not only bought laptop from him, I convinced him to sell on ShopClues too, right? So that's how you have to be ultimately, as you said in one of the previous question, as an entrepreneur, you need to know a lot of things. You can fold your sleeves and handle a lot of things on your own. Couple of things are science.
Yeah.
If you do not know, you do not know. So I do not know the coding, but I was very fortunate to use strong common sense for all other things.
Basically, vision is the core, and that is something you have to sell
Right,
to the people.
right. So-
Okay.
so-
From the starting, you was a data-driven person. We know that there is a huge importance of the data, but how we would like to know, in objective terms, how you use the data and how you use data to build and develop your product. and
Right,
market.
right, yeah. No, absolutely. You see, look, I think first there's an old saying that if you cannot measure, you cannot control,
Oh yeah.
right? So, and I'm a trained Wall Street analyst, so I saw the power of data, right? And if you look at any great business, if you look at any great economy, behind every great business, behind every great economy, you will find mathematics, simple mathematics. So, for me, everything is data driven. I like to, if I'm building a product, I would like to know how many features are we developing, what is the timeline, how much it will cost, right? What is the productivity per person, right? So theoretically, if you are data inclined, you can come up with a very beautiful analysis for everything. And there are over the time, different management philosophies have come up. Management by objective, management by this, management by this. My style is more like management by data,
Got it. Got it.
right? And so I would use, in my view, data is always helps you to take decision and take logically and mathematically accurate decisions.
This is gonna be last question of the
Sure,
session,
sure.
sir. So, how you would tell a 20-year boy sitting in IIT or any other college in India what kind of choices they making in the college and what sort of exposure and experience they should be having in the college?
Yeah. See, I feel that, first of all, anyone who's in 20-year-old in IIT Delhi or for that matter any other place studying, first of all, they need to feel very fortunate that they are at their prime time of their life in India, when India is almost going through a golden era of entrepreneurial revolution, right? Second is, in my view, if you follow your passion, it's no longer a job, right? And third is always take a long-term approach, right? People who cut corners take a shortcut, but try to behave like smarty pants. Ultimately, you will fall flat, right? Do something for which you are passionate, you feel very strongly, rather than just because it looks cool, right? And I would say, surround yourself people smarter than you are, right? Always, everything you grow up reading or inculcating as a character building of an individual, always remember that they exist for a reason, right? And but finally, I would say, because India is going through such a amazing time, I would call every youth that don't be just a spectator, be a player, right? Participate in what's currently going on in India. It's the first time in Indian modern history entrepreneurial opportunity is equally available to everyone, independent of which family they were born in and their family's resources or their last name.
Got it.
Right? So my biggest message would be, don't be a spectator, just participate in this great revolution.
So Sandeep started here, having a great life in US, went India, struggle of 5 months, and then started 2 unicorns. You have my utmost respect, sir, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for doing
Thank
this
you.
for
Thank
me.
you for having
I'm
me.
loving to host you again.
Sure.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.